We're on.
This is Commissioner Wagner speaking. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:07. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Draconis to call the roll, please.
Let's start with Lynn Smith,
Present.
Alan Leishman,
Present.
Robert Wagner,
Here?
Joel Maury,
Here.
Marion Greco,
Here.
Sandy Hill,
Present.
and Mr. Guerrero.
Here.
Okay, thank you. And we have a member of the public present, and it's Dan Ver, V-E-R-R?
Correct.
Okay. And had a little contact with Dan on social media, and Dan had an interesting idea, and I thought, well, he should come to the commission and talk to us about it. It's about, well, I'll let him, if you want to say a few words, because we're right at public comment.
Sure. So, a little history. The Indian crying by the river polluted in the 70s. So impacted by that as a child. When I moved into Villa Park, there was an older gentleman who's an insurance agent that picked up garbage. Everybody who's been around knows who I'm talking about. Anyway, long story short, I saw on social media how people were complaining about garbage here and there. So I went and picked up a bunch of garbage in a short amount of time, posted and said, anybody willing to help? Let's start Keep America Beautiful Villa Park affiliate. They're a national known organization. I'm sure you guys are aware of them. I got 2 responses from that, 3 actually, and Bob invited me to come here. We can organize and communicate to the public and get more help with that effort. Because I see people around the village doing it, one here, one there. If we organize, get the businesses involved, we'd all live in a much cleaner village. So,
Thank you very much. I thought it was,
appreciate the time.
it kind of fits nicely into item 5E, so I kind of lumped cleanup issues together, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that then. Okay, thank you, Dan, appreciate you coming.
My pleasure.
And you are a Villa Park resident?
Yes.
Okay.
As a comment, I recall years ago that we used to, it wasn't this commission, but the village had a volunteer cleanup day at the train station. And do we still do things like that, Mike? Or do we have like specific areas where the village will coordinate a volunteer group to come in and grab a specific area and clean up?
Not since I've been here. I can follow up with Greg and Grounds and see if they kind of do that.
Because I know Parks and Recs normally takes care of the train station, but I remember the manager at the time was, he kind of.
So this is Commissioner Wagner. I'm going to ask if you hold off on that, because when we get to the agenda item, we can talk about it. Okay, we're done with public comment. Amendments to the agenda. Commissioner Leishman.
I would move that we move item 5E to the top of the list so we can talk about that as soon as possible.
Okay, sure. So there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Leishman to move item 5E to the top of the list. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Sandy. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of moving item 5E to the top of our agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're gonna move on to, that will be on the top of our list. Okay, the other thing is, and we can just skip over them, you may notice item 5H and 5I. I put those on there. There may not be any new information, but I do have a little bit of new information about 5H that I can pass along. So I think we can just leave those items on the agenda. Okay, I'm going to move on to item 4, our consent agenda. Approval of the April 25th, 2024 meeting minutes. Commissioner Leishman.
I would move that we approve those minutes.
Okay,
I'll second.
is there a second?
Can I just,
Any discussion? And I was gonna address your blank space there.
yeah, that's because I was supposed to go back and put it in before I sent it. So, it's the engine inside, and
Correct,
then
yes.
Marianne sent me 5M. The last sentence comes off because it's redundant.
Oh, the only two changes are the name of the film was
Right.
inserted.
Right.
And then one of the agenda items, she had said the same thing two different ways.
Right,
So cross off the last sentence of that paragraph.
Okay,
So is that a motion to amend? How does this work at this point?
I would say that, I will
we
make
could
a
just say
motion.
corrected, and we could just say that we're going to approve the minutes as corrected.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
because
As
we're just
revised.
adding a name, because there was a blank space.
Yeah.
And then we're striking the last,
redundant information.
right,
If I sent you the minutes today, they would be perfect.
okay,
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that.
I'm not
My
either.
my concern is we have a motion on, a
Oh.
seconded motion under consideration, and we're in discussion of that first motion. So do we
Right.
need to strike that down, or?
right.
Correction.
So there's no substantial change
Okay.
to the minutes.
Okay,
So I think that with those additions, I think we're good.
okay.
Good. That's the ruling of the chair.
And
So-
her minutes will indicate that as revised or as amended.
Sure.
As corrected.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the meeting minutes are approved. Okay, we're gonna move on to item 5E. And there's a lot of stuff there, but I'm just gonna kind of lead off. I did attend River Sweep, which was at Cricket Creek Forest Preserve. And there was a nice contingent of people there. I asked for a show of hands, how many were from Villa Park. Nobody raised their hand. So I think they were all from Addison. And Addison Public Works, Ron Remus, who I know for many, many years, he and his crew were running it. And we did find a lot of trash. It was, and all the stuff you expect, and the distressing things you see, the fragments of polystyrene, the fragments of plastic. And so I'm hoping that they keep it on that day, because then there's no conflict with spring sweep. I attended the Prairie Path cleanup, and Commissioner Leishman did as well. You want to say anything about spring sweep? Excuse me, Prairie Path cleanup.
I thought it went fine. Gave me a chance to bust out my new bike trailer so I could haul bags of garbage. Yeah.
You just hit the
My only
questions.
comment is that I asked the folks from the Community Focus on Unifying Neighbors Commission how many they had signed up, and they said they had 25 people sign up, but it didn't look like 25 to me. I mean, if you counted their commissioners, and I was there for the first 35 to 40 minutes.
It was, my observation of it was that it was kind of a soft start. Like, it was kind of a soft start, like, people just started picking up trash. There wasn't a ready, set, go. There was people drifted away after the initial start time. So I would have a hard time estimating the number of participants
Yeah.
just because they weren't all there at one time.
I mean, I was there promoting spring sweep.
Mm.
Deputy Director Salerno provided with a nice board, with a nice map and flyers, and so that's what I was there for. So I didn't actually participate, but I was just observing. So, so I'm gonna move on to Keep America Beautiful, and I really liked Dan's idea. And I think that cleanups, picking up trash, I think it really is an environmental issue. We want to keep our parks and areas clean. And I like Dan's idea of us creating is it an affiliate, is that correct?
Yes.
We become like an affiliate of Keep America Beautiful. And I don't know the cost. Do you know the cost, Dan?
I do not as we
Okay.
stand here, but there's multiple businesses that we should be able to get in.
Yeah.
In fact, the new development over there, talked to the guy who's responsible for cleaning that all up, because I happen to be over there cleaning up, ran into them twice. So hopefully we can pull them in. Liquor stores, the shooters you see all over the place. And that's the one picture, I picked up 13 right on my street on Wildwood. Later that afternoon, I found 4 fresh ones.
For what?
4 fresh ones.
One fresh one.
Some villages have
Little-
said you
little
cannot
shot-
sell the little
shot
shooters
bottles.
at the liquor store.
Yeah.
Like
So-
Fireball.
Yeah,
Like you get it in
exactly.
the
Oh, like
airline.
liquor?
Yeah, they
Oh,
call it
okay.
airline, but somebody
okay.
corrected me on social
shooters.
media and said, oh, those are shooters. Okay, whatever. It shouldn't be on there.
Yeah.
And you see them all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So we can try to get the liquor stores to buy into signage or something. Have them be business owner members. Say, hey, police your own area, is the idea. And it's kind of like the broken window theory, if you've ever heard of that.
Yes. Yep.
So,
Parks and Rec does have what they call a adopt a
Adopt a
flower.
park.
Well, it used to be adopt a park. They're now calling it adopt a flower bed program.
Oh, really? I
But
didn't even know about that.
Yeah, it's on their website is that, but they have areas available for adoption, so it's not just the flower beds. To adopt a flower bed or area, please complete the attached sign-up and waiver forms. So they list Cortese Memorial Park, Franklin Park, Historical Society, Iowa, Jefferson. We used to do, I remember the commission used to do the metro station. We planted one year at the metro station.
Yes.
So.
And that was hard work.
It was very, because it was sloped. So anyway, they do have an existing mechanism, yeah, that maybe you could tie the two together. I don't know, I just know that.
Yeah, maybe this is something that we could also bring to the Park and Rec's Advisory Commission. Commissioner Moore.
Commissioner Maury, I wanted to add to the comment of our guest. As the village increases its reliance on liquor sales, there seems to be a lot of discussion about changing the liquor laws and, expanding licenses and things like that. Maybe we could work with the commission that, with the board to say, offer a discounted fee for a liquor license if you refuse to sell those shooters. It might be something the board might be willing to take into consideration.
Or issue fewer liquor licenses, I don't know. It seems like everyone wants a liquor license, and then they want a gaming license, so, yeah.
So is this something that we're interested in? Where would it go from here?
So I'd like to get a consensus from the commission, and then maybe we could research to see what the feasibility is for the village or the commission to become an affiliate or a chapter with Keep America Beautiful. Commissioner
I
Moore.
wanted to ask with Mike, just off the top of your head, will those shooter bottles fit through the storm grates in the stormwater, where the stormwater runoff is in the streets?
It probably depend on the different types of inlets. There are a variety, so certain grates no, other grates if they have a high back, which of they can go in.
So yeah, it's contributing to the microplastics in the, in the oceans, it gets there eventually.
I like the idea very much.
And I didn't want to
That's
add
good.
any work to you guys. I'm familiar, I can do an environmental study, figure out who it touches in the village, what other committees, if you would like.
Well, I certainly approve of the idea of looking into it.
Yeah.
And approving of it happening in the village. Whether we do the work or not, we can decide later, but I definitely agree with supporting the initiative.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Smith. I think it's a great idea too, because it is a ongoing problem. And we've already kind of started doing a little high-level research just sitting there now. But I support at least doing the research and finding out the cost and
Yeah.
what the process is.
Commissioner Leishman.
Yeah, I'm on CAB's website right now, and I was trying to find a cost of starting a new affiliate, and I think you have to request a quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's certainly something that we can look into.
Yeah, as I mentioned to Dan, you may know that the slogan, "Don't mess with Texas," that was actually an anti-littering program.
Oh, really?
So I thought, why not "Don't mess with Villa Park,"
Yeah.
It's a nice ring with it. But anyways, Commissioner Moore,
Yeah, and adding to your concern, sir, it's, if we decide to pass along a recommendation about restricting sales of those shooters, it would be a different commission that would address that. It would just be, we would pass a recommendation along to another commission to possibly restrict sales if that's a major concern. And they would let them figure out how they would do it. So it wouldn't be adding a great amount of work to our commission.
this is Commissioner Wagner. I think you have an interesting idea, but then would we ban chocolate bars? I don't know. I think the idea is to get people to change their behavior and just not, litter the,
Right.
because there's all kinds of other litter that we see.
I got out of the car today at a restaurant and there was a styrofoam cup on the ground. Okay,
Right.
was there a garbage can nearby? No, so went back into my car.
This is Commissioner Smith. Also, Keep America Beautiful also has like cigarette
Yes.
butt
Yeah.
litter, which I thought was also a
Yeah.
nice
butts.
add-on. Yeah,
Yeah.
no butts. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No Butts program. And then they also have a lot of other things that would
Yes.
dovetail in with the environmental.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just not litter,
Mm-hmm.
it's tapping into their resources that they have.
So it sounds like we have a consensus to kind of research this further to see what it would cost and who we could partner with to maybe make this happen. So I appreciate you coming to the meeting, and so I'll put this on our agenda for next month then. Okay, I'm gonna move on to our new item 5B, report of the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee, and sorry for that typo there.
Hey, this is Commissioner Smith. May I
Yes.
back up to the last item? Is there assignment for who should research the Keep America Beautiful? Is that so someone can take the lead on it
That's,
to make sure it gets done?
that's a good point.
I'm happy to, that's
Then
something I can help with.
I love people volunteering to do things, so yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
I really appreciate
Okay.
it.
And if you'd like, you could take my phone number down, I'd like to help you with that.
Okay, sure.
I've already made inquiries, so that
So just for a point of information, so we're recording our meeting.
Yeah.
So if
Put her
you
hand
don't
right in.
want your phone number on the recording, which will be posted, or if you're fine with that, go ahead and give it
yeah, I'm fine with it.
okay.
Someone might hear it and call and say they wanna help.
You're very-
630-390-8766.
Dan, would you just put your address up here?
Sure. 8766, right.
my handwriting, it should have been adopted.
Okay, so Commissioner Smith is gonna take the lead, and then you'll give us some sort of report next month.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you so much, I
There we
really
go.
appreciate it. Okay, we're gonna move on to our new item 5B, report of the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee. Commissioner Leishman.
Thank you, Chairman Wagner. This evening, we discussed, first thing on our agenda was a retrospective of all the different events that we've done for Bike Month. Generally speaking, we were very happy with Walk to School Day, and we discussed a few takeaways to how we can continue to grow on that. Unfortunately, the safe cycling class was canceled due to lack of interest, but Chairman Wagner has rescheduled a new safe cycling class for August, so we'll get to work on promoting that. And everyone was thoroughly impressed with the Engine Inside film that we screened, and the Rite of Silence. We had about 8 or 9 participants, which was roughly double what we had last year, so we were pretty happy with that as well. And basically with all the events, kind of our takeaway was that we just need to keep doing these year after year to build up some momentum so that people know about them and hopefully they continue to grow. Beyond that, we are going to be having a strategic planning meeting tentatively on June 29th. That is a Saturday morning. I will be reaching out to the library about hopefully scheduling a place for us to have that public meeting. Kind of our hopes is to leave that meeting with a set of goals for both improving bicycling, walking, and taking public transit within our village. Come up with a list of goals to improve those things in the quite short term. And we're going to be reviewing some of the documentation or some of the feedback we've gotten so far, such as the bicycle pedestrian master plan that the Active Transportation Alliance made for us, as well as our most recent bike-friendly community report card prior to that meeting so that we're ready to discuss it at that point. We decided that for the July 4th parade, we are not going to participate as an individual group, but we might reach out to the vintage bicycle group in town and see if they're all right with us tagging along. And we decided to hold off on doing the annual community ride until next year, when hopefully there will be some new bike infrastructure to kind of show off. And then finally, the last big thing that we talked about was last month, a citizen reached out and expressed concern about how Pace Route 313 is lacking signage at some of its supposed stops. So Commissioner Amore was nice enough to reach out to a contact at Pace, and through them we found out that Route 313 is actually operating on a kind of legacy program called a flag stop program, where basically every intersection is a valid stop if you get the bus driver's attention. But they are working on transitioning it to having all stops marked in the near future. So hopefully they'll be working on that soon. And yeah, those were the big things that we talked about. Sorry.
Commissioner Moore.
Yeah, I just wanted to complete the report. I wasn't quite sure of the number of attendees at the Engine Inside showing. We were hoping that Commissioner would, the
17.
Engine Inside movie.
I think there
17.
We were
17.
I was guessing between 15 and 20. I wasn't sure, so we were going to clarify that.
And I would mention that there were 2 attendees from the Palatine Bike Club. They came down from Palatine.
Yeah.
And one of them is from the neighborhood. attended St. Alexander's, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was nice.
that's cool.
And I just want to, one little, with regards to the right of silence, it was nice that Finance Director Howard joined in. I said, who's this big guy on this cool bike? And it was Finance Director Howard, and we got Brittany Hall, our Community Service Officer, led the way in the Gator, and Officer Tim Walsh, was our sweep and providing us protection and escort. So I thought it was really went well, yeah. And thank Commissioner Leachman for organizing it, so. Okay, I'm gonna move on to our new item 5C, follow up on spring sweep. And based upon what Ellen has told me, we had approximately 411 cars go through.
Yeah, I counted wrong.
May not be unique trips through, but
Couple times.
yeah,
Yeah, couple,
number of times through.
and that counts.
I thought there were some definite positive things. Capital Metal,
Yes,
who was their first time participating, they were just kind of overjoyed with their truck was full. And we discovered that they take electronics, selective electronics, which kind of, we said, well, let's let them take it because it's less of an expense for the village.
Yep.
Someone took, Commissioner Greco took a picture of someone who turned in a car hood. There were some,
Great picture.
yeah,
Someone
window air
carrying-
conditioners, which they
Yep.
collected, a whole range of things, so they were very happy. I did not have a chance to follow up with E-Paint Recycling. I was told that they were disappointed, and they actually came from Michigan, so.
Yeah.
The Commissioner Greco's idea to put out the TerraCycle box,
We filled it.
we filled it, yeah. So we need to get those shipped out. And you'll see later on in the agenda, I'd like to get another one, probably a bigger one, because we had plenty of volunteers, but Commissioner Hill had a great idea to try and put together a volunteer meeting. And I thought it'd be great to have a list of volunteer activities, like the volunteer check-in, or the folks that do the check-in at the head of the line. People who float, maybe do, floating, a safety person, that Commissioner Morey took that role the year before, last year.
Thanks for the water people.
Yeah. And then maybe a traffic people, we have this, we had 3 CERT people, which is good, but maybe someone whose job it is to, make sure that people don't speed, that they, that they stay in their lane.
This is Commissioner Smith. Could someone from the Villa Park Police Department provide
We did have a community service officer.
for directing traffic?
We have a group called CERT, Community Emergency Response Team, and they have some experience with traffic control, so they helped us. They were primarily at the end here where cars exited onto Ardmore, so we had Christine Murphy, Mike Orlowski, and Melanie. I don't know Melanie's last name. But I thought it went pretty well. I mean, it was a little chaotic at first, and I was told that there was maybe a miscommunication, that our communication specialist may have at some point put a 8:30 start time when it was actually 9. And so at the very beginning, we had cars coming in opposite directions. The CSO was not in place yet, so we had people entering Home Avenue and we weren't quite ready for them yet. So I'm gonna put together a final report. I haven't gotten numbers from all the groups, but I'd love to have your, whatever other input you have. Commissioner Leishman.
Yeah, on the subject of volunteers, I think you'll be kind of hard pressed to have.
A meeting.
You'll be hard pressed to get
Yeah.
all your volunteers in a meeting before the event actually starts. But like, what I think would be sufficient is if you just have a list of tasks and how many people you need for each of those tasks.
Yes, needs to be
and
organized.
then as people arrive the day of, even if you don't know the number of people that are going to show up, you can just start writing those names in those spaces.
Right.
Um,
And I think there should be a person who is in charge of volunteers. There should be,
yeah,
um,
the coordinator.
a coordinator, a volunteer coordinator.
Yeah.
And our friends and, well, I'll just say that another group was gonna handle it, but they,
Yeah,
They-
I know
yeah,
it
I'm
was,
not gonna-
it was
yeah.
a weird situation this year, kind of transition. But,
right. And we did have three, members of the Community Focused on Unifying Neighbors Commission.
yeah,
Um,
yes.
Carla Graff, I don't remember I'm bad with names, but they were there, and they helped primarily at the shredding station.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we had a couple students too.
I'm sorry,
We had a couple of students too.
that's true. We
Where
had,
were
yeah.
they from?
I don't remember.
They came with,
I have their names and addresses. Commissioner Leishman.
Alicia brought them.
Swenson
Alicia
Bailey.
Alicia
Yeah.
Swenson Bailey. Yeah,
what is she? What's her position?
she is Diane Blair Sherlock's outreach
Oh,
coordinator or
okay.
something like that.
Okay.
They were just some students looking to get volunteer hours.
She used to be director for the Chamber of Commerce.
She looks very, oh, okay, okay.
That's probably where you are.
Putting Sandy and I together means we
have
create a
suggestions.
list.
We have suggestions.
So
You have a list? You're gonna make a list?
We
Okay.
have suggestions.
I
Oh,
have,
okay.
I actually recounted 398, and there were, I would say, 15 cars maybe that came through a second time.
Yeah.
So if you want to subtract those, we collected $330 in cash. Businesses were not notified.
At least they said they were not notified.
4 different
home.
people told us they didn't know, and they need to get in and out. So that's.
We almost had an accident.
I will just comment that I know that staff, there was a discussion in our planning meetings, and staff said that they were going to send letters to the businesses.
Right, and they may.
So that's not,
It's not on us.
yeah, I'm not absolving ourselves, I'm just saying that's not something that we normally handle. That's not our,
This is not a criticism.
No,
of-
I know.
Oh, okay. This is just a fact that
Right.
there was one car needed to get out, yeah.
Another car
so,
needed to get in.
we put down about a mini meeting before because we're going, where is the oil? We didn't realize no oil collection, but people were expecting that, several. We picked up a couple things, so we were looking for maybe a little cart of some kind to transport things down, because somebody would say, well, I just have these batteries, give it to us. We'll take it, you don't have to.
If they're a,
weave in and
yeah,
out."
if they're a senior, there's no way I was gonna have them weave or try to
Yeah.
get through. Just give me your batteries and go do your shredding, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's too hard
Sorry,
for
sorry,
this.
Commissioner
Commissioner,
Smith, sorry, I
And
apologize.
because I'm newer to the committee, I just have a question. So how far in advance is the planning started for this? And is there like a lead person who is responsible for like kind of determining the process and when the kickoff meeting is, and kind of maybe having a layout map, and then, like you would with any project, like organizing
Right.
it like a actual project?
So we started, our first planning meeting was in January. I was present, Commissioner Leishman was present.
Yeah.
Commissioner Amore was present. Assistant Village Manager Suzanne McVeigh was present, and Deputy Public Works Director Rich Salerno was present. And so we've done this in a number of years now. So the plan, the basic plan, has kind of evolved.
Is there a written SOP for it, or?
A what?
Oh,
A
sorry.
standard
A standard
operating
operating
procedure.
procedure.
Yeah, so we bifurcate Home Avenue. There are some exceptions where we have new groups participating, but a lot of the groups are the same, and their station kind of remains the same. And so Deputy Public Works Director Salerno, he does a great job of doing a map of spring sweep. So we've done it enough times, and we had a monthly planning meeting where we updated. Okay, this group is participating, this group is not participating. We're not doing this. We're doing So we met on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Leishman.
Yeah, and somewhat unfortunately, like those meetings do need to happen like during the business day so that we can have members of staff like present to discuss. That's why I was only able to attend that first one in December, is because it's during the workday.
Your question though about a lead person, who's in charge?
Yeah.
It's,
Well,
do you have an
I mean,
answer?
If anything
Where's
came up,
the
I would
answer?
defer to Rich Salerno. I would
Right.
just say that, if any, because he's a staff member, this is Mike's, he knows how things are done and how things should happen, but I mean,
I guess I'm bringing just some private sector, kind of corporate type
Yep.
way of, the planning and organization, treating it like you would, like
Oh,
an
yeah.
actual project,
Yeah.
having a lead person in charge, and then that way all the processes are kind of ironed out, the steps. You would have the kickoff meeting before the event, and if it's the same day, then that's fine, and then that's when you have your like tailgate safety meeting where everybody understands kind of the safety stuff, where everyone's doing, who's doing what, just kind of the organization, and everybody
and
knows
here's your
their role.
kicker, we ran out of
Yeah.
waiver forms.
Yeah.
So we're lucky I didn't get hit.
And sometimes, do you have it where you can just have it like electronic, where you can just e-sig?
No, it's paper.
Does it
I
have
think
to be
the
paper?
the two Willowbrook students did a waiver form through Scaris, I think.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
they-
where they
they-
came from, they came from
Yeah,
Scaris.
yeah.
They also signed a paper one. So
Right,
they're
right.
double covered.
So I kind of handled inviting the vendors, and
We need to formalize the process.
yeah,
Yeah,
formally,
just to
yeah.
streamline,
Yes.
formalize it.
I agree
And
because
they
Just
took
have
the,
procedures.
they took the lead, like on doing the lessons learned and some of your observations.
Right.
And then maybe, or I guess you have like a formal lessons learned meeting and then take that and put that into.
So the last few years, we've done a report,
Right.
and the report incorporates ideas for improvement. So, and I just want to say, I'm thinking that I want to be on the planning committee, but I'd like to hand the reins over to somebody else. So there's time to think about that, but
Well, is it officially ECC?
we're the lead commission.
Okay,
Yeah, we're the lead commission.
well, then we need to.
I think I mentioned I
get
went to
that
Community
Trello
Focus
thing
on
going.
Unifying Neighbors, and they said, I think I told you what they said, so,
I'm happy to co-chair with someone who's been more senior on the committee, who kind of understands who's who, but I would like to help just to provide some of the management.
Yep.
Knowledge. But to help whoever has been on the committee longer, because you guys know who's who, and you have the experience from having done this so many years.
I can send you our report that we put together for last year,
Okay.
so you can see what quantities we gathered and those things.
Do you want to just let the rest of this go? There were two more things.
Yes, if you have more, yeah, please.
Well, one of them is that we again had cars stopping 3 times. We were the 3rd time. And it
You mean
doesn't,
before they even got in, right?
but they stopped twice and then they met us. And we were verifying addresses. I'm not just sure what the other people were doing. One was the police representative, and then I guess it was Fund Commission that was the other person down there.
See, I did not know that.
So that, well, people did not seem to object to stopping 3 times, but
Doesn't need to happen.
it's backing up on Harvard, and we're standing there with this gap, because they've got 2 people the same there. And the other things are, we have that map, but we're not using it. We might need it, the workers, but we're not handing it out to the people. We're telling them where to go. So producing how many of our
Yeah, we don't need
maps,
to
we
produce
don't need those. But a sheet to also say where you can take things that we weren't collecting is almost mandatory for something like this.
Take your oil here.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, you said we ended up with a good amount of volunteers, but 2 days before, we were looking for them.
I was still hunting for people.
So I've asked for this before, and I called a couple of people, I texted a couple of people on a list that I have, but same thing with what you're suggesting, we need to get that list manufactured in a very formal way. So we have our summer event, but we have a sheet out, and we say, can we call on you for an event during the year? Then we let them know what this could include.
You can even do a save
Even
the
they-
date.
I'm s-
You could do a save the date for
Yes.
May,
Yeah,
whatever, 2020.
I think that's certainly helpful for us getting manpower, but also it's the
What about
educational
womanpower?
process.
I'm
It's
sorry.
letting people know, I didn't hear you. It's the
Person power.
Staffing.
educational process of letting these people know more about what is needed in the environmental area. I think we're missing out on opportunities to educate the citizens if we don't involve them more.
Commissioner Leishman.
This is a question. Is there a formal list of, like, not like the list on the flyer, but like an extensive list of what each vendor accepts?
So that was part of my task. Riley Pilar, our communication specialist, asked me to provide her with a list of all the things that these groups collected.
Yeah.
Which I did. Lions Club had a nice little sheet with graphics on it, that this is what we collect. Capital Metals gave me a nice list. Scarce gave me a nice list. And those were provided to our communication specialist. I didn't monitor all the posts that went on,
No,
but there were supposed to be regular posts about what groups collected.
I'm not in this case. I'm not concerned about what the public is receiving. I'm thinking more for the people that are
Yes.
sentries at the end. Like, if you're going to send a flyer out to the community, you can't list every single type of item that
Right.
every place accepts, because that's not a very graphically interesting flyer to look
Right.
at. You got to summarize quite a bit. But for our volunteers that are trying to answer these questions, if we had an extensive list, then you'd feel much more confident to say, no, we do not accept oil.
But here's where you can take it.
Yeah.
I will interject that in years past, we have said specifically we don't. I remember us,
I know, but all we're saying is that there
Right.
were at least 5 cars, 5 people in those lines requesting that. And part of it is that Jiffy Lube
Sorry I brought it up.
is no longer accepting oil or
waste
whatever,
oil.
for free. And I guess that was one of those.
Then you had people who said, okay, then I'll go home and drop it down the drain.
Oh, no.
Oh, they did this to get us.
Like we would take it.
Yeah, and I said, I hope you won't do that. we can't take it. And I think it was more like I don't think they were gonna go do that, but I think they just were irritated that it wasn't being accepted.
But yeah, the list for the volunteers of every single thing that's accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
because I
they-
think we even ended up taking a few things that weren't accepted because we didn't know.
Yeah, that, I mean, what was generated, I finally got a copy of that. I had maps, but I didn't have a copy of that sheet, and then I think that was included. That helped a lot, because Scarce was taking a lot more than I thought they were doing. So I would stop the car and go, yes, they'll take that, they'll take that, they'll take that. I think it would be nice to do paper shredding perhaps more than once a year. A lot of residents really appreciate that paper shredding.
And that was another thing, the shredder arrived late, which has happened in the past.
And left on the second, the time they were
I
scheduled to
know,
leave,
she,
they
woman
left.
just gave me $20 and we had to refund $20 to her because he booked, so.
Yeah, he did not stay a second longer than he was supposed to, even though he was
Yeah.
late.
Commissioner Smith, go ahead.
Okay.
There you go. Okay. I said, well, I don't want to get us too off topic, but I know, I lived in Oak Park for about 16 years. And one thing that Oak Park has is called a Day in Our Village. They have it at the beginning of every June. And so like all the different, commission equivalents, community organizations all gather in Schofield Park. They all have a booth. Of course, there's entertainment. But the thing is, as a citizen of that community, I can go and stop at each booth. I could sign up for things like, volunteer for clean sweep or whatever activities are going on. If I'm interested in being a part of the Environmental Concerns Commission, I can learn more about that commission, how I can help. And then it's just a good way to get out message what our events are and get volunteers in a more like organized fashion. But I know that's above this commission, but I don't know if there's something that like who would you talk to pitch that idea? Because because I don't see anything equivalent that the village has like that. I mean, unless I'm just not aware.
My instinct would be either the village itself or the Commission for Unifying Neighbors.
Because they don't have anything like that now, right? From what I can see from the calendar.
Brewfest.
No, Commissioner Leishman.
Yeah.
The summer festival is kind of the closest thing to what you're describing.
Okay.
And it's not specifically just village government.
Organizations
But
and businesses.
Yeah, a lot of commissions will have tables at Summerfest.
Do we
as
have
well
a
as-
table?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yes,
normally
Okay.
do.
that's on the agenda to talk about.
Okay.
And a lot of other like civic organizations will table there as
All right,
well.
great.
So maybe talk to the Commission for Unifying Neighbors
Well,
about.
it seems like it's
recruiting more.
like what he was saying, that it's already in place, that is a
Yeah.
vehicle where we can do public outreach to get more volunteers and
Yeah.
have like a backlog of people to call on.
Yeah, I was
it's
just
a-
thinking if you want to try to get more commissions in, I was taking it.
Oh,
beyond,
okay.
Yeah. but-
And I will just comment that we do table at more than just Summer Festival.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do National Night Out, we do a number of times we table in the
Oh,
community, so.
Yeah, National Night Out is a similar event.
Yeah. Commissioner Morey.
This may have something to do with the reluctance of earth paints to come again in the future, but I remember mentioning in the lead up to the recycling that our Ace Hardware takes paint for a fee. Their paint goes to the one.
We didn't have earth paint, we had e-paint
Yeah,
recycling.
yeah.
Earth paint's in Wooddale,
Right, their paint goes to
right.
E-paint or earth paint, one of the two.
I think Earth
Earth-
Paint, yeah.
So there may be a general, if they're reluctant to come again, we still have an out. If you do put an informational flyer out there, you can say in advance
Right.
that take your paint to Ace, they'll take it right now for the same charge that we would charge.
Paint exchange.
Commissioner Leishman.
It's a real shame that E-Paint did not have a good year because last year Earth Paint
was off the hook.
I mean, I was loading the cans into the truck, so they had plenty of them.
Yeah, the year before I was working with Earth Paint, and it was amazing how much they took
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
That might be part of it. People got rid of a lot of.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
It worked.
Suffering from success.
Maybe like a downturn in home improvements with the economy versus COVID, where people had extra time and resources.
Are there paint exchanges? I know some communities do that for paint that's still usable, but maybe you don't need the color or like it, they do paint exchanges.
You mean civilian to civilian?
Yeah, it might be hosted, you know, someone will sponsor it, like at a community organization, but you just bring your paint and someone can come and get it for free. It's like a paint exchange.
Okay,
And then-
so you just bring your paint and hope somebody likes that color and takes it.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
like a paint exchange. Then
Yeah.
what's left over, then that's when somebody, you have to pick it up. And if it's latex, you just put sand in it, throw it away, really. But
So I love that you have suggestions at the ready, so
Yeah.
if anyone else has them, I'd like to include them, and I will certainly attribute it to you and Ellen.
Oh, you won't have to, but.
So I can get those to put together a report. So in kind of closing our discussion about spring sweep, I'd like to ask that we maybe set the date for 2025. So the third Saturday would be May 17th. And I guess I would entertain a motion to designate May 17th, 2025 as our date for spring sweep for next year. Commissioner Moore?
Generally, we coordinate with the electronic recycling drop-off date, right?
Right,
So that
it's the
would be
third Saturday, right, exactly.
Are we coordinating with Scarce though too?
Yes, we would, yeah,
No, he
absolutely.
meant calendar coordinating, like we have it on the same date as an electronic recycling.
So I'm gonna reach out to, once we have determined the date, given the thing we had with Earth Paint where they had two different events on May 18th, I would reach out to them right away so that because I don't think e-paint recycling's coming back. Commissioner Leachman,
I move that we designate May 17th, 2025 as the date for spring sweep.
okay,
I'll second that motion.
second by Commissioner Hill. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Okay, I'll let the village know,
It's in my
And-
calendar.
yeah, and start contacting groups, just so the earlier they know, the better. Okay, I'm gonna move on to our new item 5D, follow-up on No Mo May. And I really don't have much to add here. I was hoping to talk to Mark McLaughlin to see how many signs were passed out, seeing how it affected the enforcement end of it, but I just didn't have a chance. So what I'd like to do is just bring this back for next month, so we have a better idea how that went. And I would like to revisit the idea that Commissioner Moore came up with of having some sort of, you suggested having a pamphlet, on next year's sign. I thought that was a really great idea. And I've seen pamphlet holders for realtors. This might be an idea that we could use, to maybe in strategic places have flyers explaining No Mo May. So if there's no objection, I'm gonna bring this back. Commissioner Leachman.
Just a question. You wanted to do those flyers in addition to the website that is linked on the
Well,
signs?
I'm just kind of touching on the idea, because I like the idea of having something next to a sign, something that, what is this? And here's an explanation. I think they had a QR code.
Yeah.
maybe it's not necessary, I don't know. Commissioner Smith?
Sorry. Yeah, I do think I think the QR code is necessary just, and as well as maybe the paper then to be inclusive of different demographics and people, some people are more techie and like the QR codes, other people want something tangible that they can just open.
Right.
But the thing about it, I guess you have to keep it dry if you have paper, you know, like a,
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Right,
so-
right. I just like Commissioner Moray's idea, you know, it's not something we necessarily have to do, I just wanted to throw it out there. So I will get some more details, you know, I think, if there were any signs left over, it will give us some idea how many residents participated. Okay, I'm gonna move on to our new item 5E, purchase of additional TerraCycle recycling box. Given the fact that the old box, which was really much larger than the new box, both of them are filled up. I'd like to request or entertain a motion to purchase another TerraCycle box, and probably a little bit larger than the one I got, because I didn't really realize how much bigger the old one was. So, there is money in the budget.
Do we know how much?
So I would say $300, not to exceed $300 for a larger.
And
larger
will we
box.
also keep it at will we keep it at Public Works, just like before?
So, how did?
Would be fine.
That'd be fine.
I mean, it's next to our battery bucket, so.
Yeah.
An 11 by 11 by 40 inches high is $232. If you want to go 15 by 15 by 37, that's $341.
$341.
Yep.
Plus shipping then? How
So
does
say
that
again?
include the shipping?
So it comes with a label on it, so it's, once you fill it, you can ship it. And
The price includes shipping.
And I think Mike, I think we need, because when I was in the garage, I saw the old one was still there, so whatever we need to do to get that shipped. And I tried moving it, and it's pretty heavy.
Ooh, maybe you
So
might
it's
not.
laden, huh?
Maybe you don't want to go that heavy then.
Yeah,
Maybe
smaller
get the,
box.
get the mid-size.
They have forklifts.
I just
Okay.
call for a pickup, right?
Okay, let somebody else
Yeah.
handle it.
I take a look, I thought I mailed it.
I'm sorry, say
I know
again?
that was, part of it was finding who did it originally, which we found the ECC did. Cause yeah, I believe when I looked into it or have it up, like the shipping label comes with it
Right.
to mail it back once you've completed, so I will.
I think the label's actually on the bottom of the box.
So we use probably
Yeah.
number for.
Well, this is a new one that we filled up during Spring Sweep.
Well, there's two.
There's
There's
two.
the old one is still
okay,
there.
There's
okay.
the
The
old one.
is full, and then the new one too.
The new one is full.
Okay.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more.
So, $341 is our cost to collect it
And ship it.
and ship it.
Correct. So when you buy it,
What are they doing with all that? Wow,
They're selling it to
that's a
someone
lot
else.
of money.
I think there are I mean, I don't think recycling plastic pens especially is particularly efficient, so it costs money to recycle it.
yeah, if you go to the TerraCycle website, there's a whole range of different recycling box. Doesn't the library have a TerraCycle box for carrot
Cups, yeah. Cake
carrot cups?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's worthwhile because people have a lot of that stuff.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Is it being put in the landfill?
Okay, so the larger box is $341.
Yeah. 15 by 15 by 37. You made the motion, right?
I have not made a motion.
Mike, is that size okay that they're talking about as far as where the location is?
15 by 15 by 37.
Yeah, I believe that was about the size of the last one, if I remember right.
Inches, not feet, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Inches, not feet, right?
UPS would take
Did I
it.
say feet? I'm sorry.
No, you didn't.
Oh, good.
You didn't specify the unit, so I just wanted to clarify.
Kilometers.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion then. Maybe we should go with the larger box.
How much
for-
money do we have in our budget and will it go on this year's? Oh, yeah, it is. 'Cause
Yes,
we're in
it
the-
will,
We're
'cause
on
we're
the calendar year
year.
now, yeah.
Yeah. No, we have sufficient funds in our budget.
But do we have any other expenses coming up this year? I mean, I don't know where we're at budget wise.
We have more than adequate funds. Commissioner Leishman.
I mean, the big expenses that I can think of that we'll still have left will be the trees for Joyful Tradition, or tree for Joyful Tradition.
Right.
Um,
Our budget was not increased per our request, but it's at $2,000. So we're
and we spent like $350 or something for the tree. I
the
think.
tree was 175.
No, they
No.
upgraded it because they
It
didn't,
was
the
a
last
3-inch
one.
tree.
Yeah.
It was
I
300.
don't think so.
When they went to buy the tree, it was, the only one left had some kind of weird.
No, we're talking about Joyful Traditions.
Oh, the
Oh.
joyful tradition. I thought we were talking
I-
about the Arbor Day tree.
I was talking about the Arbor Day.
Oh, you were, okay.
Yeah, I was talking about
Oh.
money that. Sorry, I'm confusing
Yes, we
myself
spent
as well.
$381 for the tree for Arbor Day,
Thank you.
Yeah,
but
and
we're still in good shape.
Well, yeah, if we have 2,000 and those were our biggest expenses, okay. Then I will motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Greco, is there a second?
sorry. What point of clarity? What's the amount we're authorizing?
So.
I would motion that we buy the larger box for $341.
Not to exceed 350, yeah.
Not to exceed 350, okay.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Take a second, okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna move on to our new item. This would be 5F, I believe.
The crocus thing?
Yeah, so, and I apologize, you had volunteered to take that on, but I did have some movement.
Okay.
So, and since then, I've actually had a little bit more. I spoke with Robin Grange from, regarding crocus. So I actually talked with her on the phone, and I told her my concerns. I talked with Kevin Carver, who is the facility manager for District 45. And I said, this is what we'd like to, this is what we're looking at. And his question was, is there a footprint? Do you have a rendering? Does it need power? What about accessibility? And apparently Kevin is a former firefighter, and he had some involvement in some air monitoring station. And so he was kind of familiar with this type of facility. And he said, before I even talk to the superintendent or whoever, I need to have all these details. And I completely agreed, because so I communicated that to her, because she wanted to put together, Robin Grange, wanted to put together a Zoom meeting with the folks who are handling it. I said, well, before we do that, we need all these details. And I talked briefly with Suzanne McVeigh about it, and she said, we really need to involve Mark McLaughlin, because there may be some permitting issue with putting this on a school campus. And they said that they would prefer to have it at a junior high, like Jefferson or Jackson. So I sent her an
Who said
email,
that?
pardon me?
Who said that? Who said that you?
This Robin Grange.
Okay.
From
So-
Argonne.
I'm sorry, say again?
From Argonne.
From Argonne Laboratory, right, correct. So I've sent her, once again, those responses. I copied Kevin Carver, Suzanne McVeigh, and Mark McLaughlin. So no response at this time. But they're very slow to respond, very slow. And there is a crocus, Argonne does have a crocus webpage or website, but there's no rendering. There's no rendering and what Kevin Carver said, hey, if you're doing a project, you gotta have some idea what it looks like. But, she didn't provide me with that information. But I'm still excited personally that if we could bring something like this to our schools, I think it'd be a great thing. So, stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have more information. Okay, I'm gonna move on to our next item, which is, community outreach. I did get confirmation that we are participating in Summer Festival, which is Saturday, June 22nd. And typically, we're at Summer Festival from 11 to 5. So it's still in the planning stages. There's no site plan. I don't know where we'll be stationed. But what I thought was we could do, I could see if we could obtain the energy games. This is something provided us by the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. I think those go over well. And, we could supplement it with, whatever else we, have. We could recruit volunteers.
Is there some cicada fun?
What's that?
So, given that this is happens what hasn't happened in 200 years, or have something to do with the cicadas? Because I know, isn't there some type of coloring thing for the kids, but have
Right.
something that we can, maybe some education or
Yeah.
something fun on
The community focus on
Yeah.
Unified Neighbors is, they have some sort of
cicada thing.
coloring.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting for us. What would we do that's environmental related? I could decorate my bike to look like a cicada, I suppose.
Cicada recipes.
By then, there'll be just carcasses all around.
Oh,
Joe-
yeah,
Joe, would
'cause
you like to dress up
that-
as a cicada?
that's true,
Not
because
gonna be available
Oh,
for some reason.
that's a good point, Joe, because it'll be almost over, because it's the end of June, so scrap that then.
Unless you wanna see how many they can collect and put in a jar.
Yeah, I haven't seen any yet.
Really?
You haven't seen any?
What? Say what?
What?
You want a high rise?
I mean, because I'm gone a lot and I'm always in concrete. I just
Yeah, they're out there.
the city.
Wow, I've been crunching them on my bicycle and yeah.
So
I thought they would be
I probably
swarming.
shouldn't digress, but I saw an item on social media about a tavern or place in Lombard where they're doing,
Noon whistle.
Yeah.
they have a little cicada shell and a shot of Malort,
Yes.
which would probably improve it.
yeah.
It's supposed to imbue a lobster-like flavor.
I see.
What they claim in the marketing.
Yeah, I read
Yeah.
all about
I
it.
love
Yeah.
I'd have a hard time just getting through the Malort.
But,
Has anyone heard them? I haven't even
yes.
heard
Oh yeah.
them.
Oh yeah. No,
Oh, they're white.
they're it's pretty regional. Like some trees don't have many. But there are some trees by my house that have just tons of them. It's almost deafening when you're underneath the trees.
I need to drive around more.
You need to walk around.
Yeah, around.
Yeah.
They're probably asleep by now. But
No, I think I hear them actually.
They're pretty heavy in some areas. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the base of trees, there's all kinds of the
shells there.
exoskeleton of the.
Yeah.
So speaking of the new Riley, are we going to get back on a path with our posts and educational type posts?
Oh, yeah. Is she up to speed? Do you feel like she's
Oh, yeah.
comfortable?
She's She's smart as a whip and gets things out, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what we're proposing is a simple, tiny blurb saying post this on Facebook, so yeah. Okay,
Lynn, this is something that we started where we take a week
Mm-hmm.
and then post every week something environmental on the village website.
so it might be like World Bee Day is coming up, or maybe it just passed, but it might be related to that, or.
It's kind of more like light and airy, positive stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Educational, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just
Educational.
keeping people aware of
Okay.
us, and then some fun little factoid or Yeah.
Not too dystopian.
But yeah, not about the.
come see us at Summerfest would be one of them when it's the right timing and
Summer festival.
festival. Yes.
Ideally, like actionable things that they can do to
Keep America beautiful.
Hopeful, informative.
Yes,
Not-
exactly.
Not the doom scenario.
Oh,
Oh.
sorry.
I got one out about the joys of walking in the cold and
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna request the energy games, and I'll try and put together some other items that we can distribute. And if anybody else has any thoughts, let me know.
When did we do the raffles?
We did that at Summerfest. We raffled what, a
We
compost
did
bin
a
and-
rain
That was-
barrel,
Yeah.
and a composter, and a tire pump. I can't remember.
Those are the three I remember.
yeah.
We didn't do, last year we
It
didn't
wasn't
do
it wasn't last year. It was the year
Yeah.
before it because
Okay.
I participated in the raffle and I was not tabling that year because I wasn't on the ECC.
Yeah, because it wasn't last year.
I think that was the first time I met you guys. All downhill since then.
Okay, well, I'm gonna put together some, kind of a plan for our booth. If anyone has any thoughts, things that they would like to promote, let me know. I'm gonna move on to our next item on the agenda, end of year school recycling event. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Leishman, I apologize.
On the subject of the social media posts,
Yes,
I feel like we should maybe try to set up a meeting with Riley to discuss this with her, make sure she's supportive and open to it before we just start bombarding her with
Yeah.
emails of things to do.
And
So-
she might have some format suggestions
Since-
or
Yeah.
something, like a template she wants us to follow or something.
Exactly.
since you kind of led our effort last time, would
Yeah.
you be willing to take that on?
Of course.
Okay, I appreciate that, thank you.
And then you have that's, those dates in the Google Calendar, right? Is it a Google Calendar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually have it linked to mine, so I'm seeing all the ECC stuff with my personal stuff.
Okay.
Okay, any more on that item? Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next item, end of year school recycling event. And Commissioner Draconis updated us last month about this and that there was no interest. But when I was speaking to Kevin Carver, who is the facility person, I mentioned this to him. And he kind of voiced his feeling, that would be a good idea. And he said, well, I'm gonna talk to Claudia. And I said, well, wait a minute, Claudia already said no. And he said, well, maybe you didn't ask her early enough. I said, well, we asked her last month. So that's the comment I got from him. And so I'm not sure if maybe someone different than Claudia next year might be. And I know you told her that, you said that she sent out a communication to principals and that they said that there was no interest.
To the environmental groups, I think,
To the what?
to the environmental groups in the schools.
Okay,
So maybe an email to Claudia and Kevin
yeah.
and let them talk?
To say next year this would be, we'd really like to do this.
Yeah.
Because you know, what I see on school buses, kids leave behind in a lot of stuff. And just as Ellen has said, a lot of it's unused, reusable, so.
Just slight tangential, in the high school where I work, at the end of the year, they have a locker cleanout. They actually change the bell schedule, and for 10 or 15 minutes, the kids go to their lockers, there's tables set up for notebooks and library books and textbooks that have to get returned. And so, I mean, that's not that we can do anything about it, but it's just interesting, that's how the high school handles it, so we don't need to worry about them for a while, because it's already in place, and then they do donate anything that's unused or gently used, and recycle what they can. There's environmental kids groups involved, so.
Good.
It's really fun to be walking around when that's going on.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to our next item, report on the D45 Next Trek bag recycling. Anything new on that, Ellen, that you can tell us?
Just that they're not gonna make it the way they're doing it. The schools are all short, and they have a time limit, and
What's the time?
it's a year.
What is it?
It's a year,
A year?
and the one at York Center has now got 100 and, I just dropped off your bags, so they probably have 177 pounds,
Wow,
Oh,
and it's
they need-
August is
they
their
need
due date.
2,000, right?
1,000,
1,000, but they only have
By August.
177.
so I don't know how that's gonna work. It would
so,
have been better to say Ardmore School gets all the bags.
Focus on one school at a time.
But
Yeah.
each school signed up on their own, and that's not our deal.
Right.
But I think we could encourage them to, we could be the sponsoring, we could support it by, we're gonna have a big contest, and whichever classroom brings the most at the end of 2 months or whatever, we're buying Dairy Queen for everybody in that classroom, or whatever, something like that.
Two questions. This is the first I'm hearing about the time limit. Is that something that's imposed by Next Trex? It's not something that the schools
No, it's
came
not
up
the
with?
schools.
Okay. Second point, I think you're absolutely right that the schools should be working together instead of
Competing.
it's effectively competing. One approach that you could take to do this next year that might have a better chance of actually hitting that goal is if you collected bags from all the schools, but you kept track of how much each school contributed, and then you can say whichever school gives the most gets the bench.
good idea.
It's a little bit cruel because
Yeah, smaller
Well,
schools
you
are
have- yeah, you do.
disadvantaged.
You have
Yeah.
different size schools.
but
I
Can
don't-
we bypass scarce and just pick a school that we support ourselves? And then just rotate the school we're supporting every year?
If they do it again, I don't even know what these environmental sponsors are doing.
This is Commissioner Wagner, question for Commissioner Draconis. When is the 1 year up?
I suppose it's whenever they sign their contract, because York Center's woman told me August.
Wow.
And she has, right now, 177 pounds.
Okay,
She also told me, she will be passing by the Scarce facility and will be picking up the bags there.
she will what?
She's just gonna go and get the bags from the Scarce facility, weigh them and take them. She might get it by August but she's doing it, not her group. She is doing it on her own now.
Okay, is that the principal at?
No,
Okay,
it's a teacher who's in charge of the environmental group.
at York Center, okay. And
She
do you know
wants
her
a
name?
bench for the kids.
What is her name? I go to York Center every day, that's why I know.
Well,
Won't the kids
Roseanne
still have to
Orsi,
wear it though
but-
when she
but-
weigh it when she sorry.
Roseanne Orsi, but, yeah, I don't know I don't know how much what is our obligation here? What are we investing? And we don't have to have this discussion right now, but what are we investing? I was contacted by Scarce personally to say, we need to get rid of those, and would you help with that? Yes. Then I got involved with the schools, dropping them off at the 2 schools that I was told to take them to. So I'm not sure what else we as a commission need to do. I think that's for us to decide. I'm not trying to give any guidelines. I'm just saying that's how this began, and I think it's a good cause, but there are a lot of good causes. So-
Yeah.
So
Well-
that's the question. As far as I'm concerned, on item J, what is it what do we feel like we need to do? If we want to encourage a certain school and build some incentives there, or, it seems to me like in a school the size of Ardmore, 1,000 pounds is not unreasonable when you have all those families. And I know what I get weekly.
My thought, Mrs. Commissioner Wagner, I think we should personally focus on Ardmore and their collection boxes right near the entrance. See if we can help them get over the top. Do we know how much they've collected?
I don't know it currently.
Okay.
I know how much we took. We've taken over 300 pounds there.
Oh, wow, okay. For Ardmore,
We, being my husband and I,
right.
have grabbed them but we also took probably 150 pounds to Jefferson.
Okay.
What's interesting is not every school in District 45 has a PTO organization, right?
Yeah, a varying, right,
Yep. There's 2 schools that don't have,
down.
so that weighs with me when we talk about this type of stuff, so.
Yeah,
Commissioner Leishman.
Sorry, do we know the history of that?
well.
Why they don't have a PTO?
It's because of the parents that are there.
Right, they don't have
A
time.
couple of the schools have so multicultural that it's a different situation than Ardmore or Westmore. Where
But
you
even North School, I would expect North School to be a very diverse school,
It is,
and they have a PTA.
yes, but it's also been long-standing.
Okay.
So you're talking about socioeconomic differences where maybe the parents are working more and don't have the time.
Cultural differences where there's not the need to be as involved as Villa Parkers always have,
Or are they from different countries or?
yes.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably a combination, like you said, of
Yeah.
cultural, because I
That's a
remember
good
growing up,
one.
my parents were never involved in my education at all. I mean, it was all hands-on.
My father was president of the PTA.
So.
No, he was. He really was.
And then, working a lot too, I'm sure.
So are you saying that should we focus efforts on getting at least one school?
I don't
Over the
know,
top?
I don't know what Ardmore schools, I don't know when their due date is.
Right, and Jefferson's getting.
I can reach out to those people and ask them, but
Right.
I will not be here at the next meeting. Wait, when will it be? When will it be? The next meeting?
June.
Yes, but
Our next meeting is
I'm
June
going
27th.
I'm going till the 22nd.
Oh, so you'll
Is
be
it
back,
right before
Yeah.
that? 22nd.
27th, yeah.
20th, okay. Oh, I'll be back for that.
But we
But
could
they
also.
aren't gonna have anything, nothing's gonna be going on at the schools during the summer. They're not gonna be
That's
dropping
true.
off.
Yeah. I wonder if the best plan of action is just see what they do next year and then make a decision. Just continue the way you are through scares. And then,
But is there gonna be anybody at the schools to take the plastic now? No.
There'll be people there, there'll be custodians there, but are they gonna,
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to want to. So we can table this until September, and we'll know better what their plans are and think about what.
I'm
what
gonna
our
put this on,
part is.
if it's okay, I'll put it on the agenda in June. And I'm gonna personally focus on bringing my bags to Ardmore.
Well, Ardmore may not have the program next year though.
Right, but they still have till August to try and make it over the.
Well, I
Oh, in
don't know,
June,
I
I
don't
see
know
what
what
you're
their
saying.
due
We don't
date
know their
Oh,
date.
we don't know about that,
No, I
okay.
only know
Okay.
York Center.
Well, I may call them and find out, so.
Well, I can take care of that, Bob, but,
Okay.
but, I mean, I can find out from them. I'll just send an email asking what's going on. It
Okay,
was the-
I'm gonna bring this back as an agenda item next month then. I'm gonna move on to our last item, discussion of residential lead service lines. And this is on the agenda because a resident, Tom King, asked that it put on the agenda. He's not able to be here again, but I assume he's gonna make an effort to come in June. And his issue with his lead service line has been resolved. But I did look today, and the inventory is on the website, it's posted. There's according to the spreadsheet, we have a total of 7,152 service lines. We know 105 are lead. 651 are galvanized, and the total unknown is 6,364. So that's quite a bit.
6,000 what? Sorry.
6,364 unknown.
Which you have to assume they are until they're proven not.
And
I think a lot of them are unlikely, but we don't
You know,
have
the data.
the actual visual. It's kind of a weird rule because you don't have to dig, I suppose.
Yeah.
But until
I'm
you
sorry,
kind
I'm
of
not
dig
hearing
and
you.
expose, you don't have to dig by the EPA. It says you don't have to excavate to prove.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you don't excavate to prove, it's hard to verify that there is no lead on it. So it comes up as unknown, and by EPA standards, unknown means you have to assume lead until verification that it's not. That's why we have so many, is we've gotten into a lot of homes, and we can see residential side, which is the majority of the lead. The public side from the street to the main, a little bit harder to find unless you excavate, but we've modified our plans for like capital projects. We'll probably do exploratory digging with a hydro excavator and that's what we did with Mr. Keynes, was we were actually hydro excavated on the public side, saw that it was actually copper, his private side was lead.
You had also said during last meeting, like the older part of the city probably has more as
Yeah.
opposed to like newer.
We're working on, we have a
parts.
map that's mostly
Yeah.
done, I've been working with Kevin, unfortunately, a small staff. We haven't finalized it to publish, which we've inventoried the town versus age of subdivisions, but and then overlap that with all the plans that we still had knowledge of when one of the mains were installed. We had a lot of that information already previously documented, and then every time we do an inspection, we now update. When we place water meters systematically throughout town, we document best we can on the public side. However, we do run into odd situations here and there once they get uncovered. But I know this upcoming project, the Jackson area has several that's been documented.
And of the 105 that we've identified, how many of those are actively replacing those section of lead service lines, do we know?
Most of those are the residential side to the private side of those 105.
I'm sorry, say again?
Majority of the 105, I think there's like 36 on the public side, and then the remainder is actually on the private side, the residential side.
Okay, so 36 on the public side and the remainder on the private side. Now,
Approximately, don't quote me on those
Okay,
exact
gotcha.
numbers.
But the ones that are on the private side, do we know if they're actively replacing them?
So how the EPA is, which I gotta verify with my staff, is once they get notified that they have a lead service, and then right now it's ultimately on them to replace the lead service. And then if we have a program, we can offer that program for them to jump in on the villages, but it's still a lot of times at their cost, other than we have like a zero interest financing option through the
Right.
village if it's through our contractor.
Or is the village participating in the EPA state revolving fund?
Not on that yet. I did notice that they have a large, I think they're over requested versus, but no, we have not jumped in on that yet.
Funding's been able to get obtained though by several, like, and I just know personally, like
Yeah.
some villages have that funding.
We're working on updating our project planning for the water side with the EPA. And our wastewater side.
So I was kind of interested to see, of course, we have the inventory, but there really is nothing on the village's website about lead service lines. And I went to several communities' websites. Darien has a page devoted to it. Glen Ellen does, Lombard, Mount Prospect, and Oak Brook. I went to Oak Brook Terrace's website. They say they don't have any lead service lines. And I'm wondering how they know that with such certainty. Yeah,
It might be on the age, or I don't know.
yeah.
Do they provide water? I don't know if they provide water or if it's American Water.
And an interesting thing was that Lombard and Glen Ellen and Elmhurst had links to where you can get your water tested. And a lot of them suggested Suburban Lab, which has changed names now,
Oh, yeah.
Geneva.
I know.
I can't remember what the name of it is now.
Is it Pace?
What's that?
Pace, I think? They changed it to Pace?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But and I called Suburban Lab, formerly Suburban Lab, and they said it cost $100.
Well, kind of information, quick links.
It cost $100 to test for lead, and I thought that's pretty expensive. And I mentioned this to someone else, and they said, "Well, why don't communities join together so you get better pricing?" Because myself, I'd be interested in having my water tested. And the other thing I noticed on some websites is they have how to test your service line, to say, is it galvanized, is it copper, or is it lead? You know, they're simply scratching it to see if it's lead, it's shiny. So I think there's an opportunity, and this is not a criticism, but there's an opportunity for us maybe to do better as a village, to have a page that tells people,
Yeah, that was part of the minimum requirements where we are working on building it out. Now that Riley's on, she has some of those special abilities, and we're getting more staff on board, we have a little bit more availability to.
so we're currently working on putting together a
Yeah,
page.
as I said, we have a map working on, and then most of all that stuff you just borrow from all the other communities. 'Cause
Okay.
it's the same.
Yeah, some of them Glen Ellen did their own video on how to check your line, so,
Yeah, and not to be an Oak Park commercial, but the Village of Oak Park also has a really good website, like in several areas about that too.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch
Oh,
what
I'm
you
sorry,
said.
the Village of, I'm just
Park,
giving
yeah.
him an example of a village that has a very well laid out
Yeah,
lead service line with questions and answers, resources.
So what did you say is being done right now?
We're still working on updating
The
our website.
website?
Over our village website has
do you, is,
all
would,
areas of improvement that can be performed.
And there's grant money too, because I know you mentioned there might be some budgetary concerns. There is grant money available that can be accessed. So,
You know, what I'd like to find out is if there's any kind of a fact sheet that maybe we could use to, let's say at Summer Festival, to let people know. Certainly would be an opportunity to have a conversation with people about it. Because if we have,
as far as the outreach, what the heck?
yeah, 6,364
Unknowns.
unknowns, maybe we could enlist the help of people to, to say, I'm gonna check my service line and, I'll let the village know. Commissioner Leishman.
I'm sorry, it sounds like what you're describing is probably testing the pipes within the house, right?
I'm talking about the service line as it enters the house.
Okay.
So there may be some areas, because there's some lead solder.
Just
But-
think of lead.
That would be a plumber's job, but the service line on the private side, to see if that's galvanized lead or copper. And wouldn't that be valuable for them, for if someone would say, I checked it and it's galvanized pipe?
I'd say yes,
But you have
but
to
the
double check.
validity is not always 100% because it's not the easiest. That's why it's a little bit easier when we go in and replace our staff
I
has a
see,
little bit
okay.
more. And we have the official, those little handheld devices that can also put on and test, and we have those. But yeah, a lot of times it relates to if it's magnetic, not magnetic is a good indicator of the type of metal. Like some of our records, we didn't really document all the time if it was galvanized. Now you have to document if it's galvanized. It was pretty good about if it's lead or not, but now galvanized has been added. But no, I mean, we can do it. Part of it is making sure that data doesn't get lost.
So if they provided, if they provide information, you'd have to have someone to update the spreadsheet.
Correct. We do, and we have a water main guy that does it, and we have an electronic form, but if they're calling in, if it doesn't necessarily get to everyone.
Commissioner Leishman.
As someone that works with data quite regularly, I think it's important that we keep like the data that the village is collecting separate from what people are trying to do in their own house, because the quality of those two.
Yeah.
It's wrong
point.
half the time. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
But that's what, I'd love for people to be involved, it's just,
Yeah.
we can't rely on that information.
Yeah.
Right.
So when we go, that was why when we have I&I, we have our plumbing inspector go in. He looks at the private side service, when we replace the water meters, we check the private side service. We just didn't have the staff to go door to door, or the budgetary at the time.
So as an education piece, sorry, this is Commissioner Smith, could we have like a frequently asked question flyer? And I guess that something like that would have to be ran
Yeah,
by the
we-
village or legal counsel?
We can work on that. I mean, typically now if we turn off the water, there's required documentation that you have to distribute to the homes about lead and turning on your water and the possibility, so we'll just be incorporating some of those into it. And we're working on the launch of GoGov, which then that can also
The
be
launch of what?
Go Gov.
GoGov,
GoGov.
which we have gotten more training in the last week or so. We can also put that on there if someone puts about lead service. It will create an automatic template and send you to another spot for resources, so. That's all on the docket along with.
Everything else.
And I'm sorry, you said Go Dove?
Gov.
Oh, Go Gov, okay, I'm
It's-
sorry.
It's kind of launched now, it's just not seen. It'll be
Okay.
fully launched. If you go to the website and put report a concern, it's actually the background program.
Is that like a ticketing system or something, or?
It's a citizen engagement software,
Okay.
so if you have a concern, or if you have certain things, it should automatically breach, and then it automatically emails the right departments. Well, once we get all the final implementation figured out, and then yes, we can then respond back to residents and stuff that way. There'll be an app probably forthcoming. I don't know how many people will download the app, because it's all on your website, mobile site. I think more people will utilize the website than the mobile app, because they're most likely to go to the website first.
So this is Commissioner Wagner, just a question I'm gonna ask you. How can we assist the village, or what role can we play to, I guess, public education? A frequently asked question sheet might be a good start. Anything that you can suggest that we can, since this issue's come up, and it's, other villages are maybe a little bit more proactive than we are.
I think
Have
that
more
some have a
staff.
little bit more staff and different
More
stuff.
staff.
Yeah,
But
that's true, okay.
No, I think as we develop the frequently asked question of promoting, once we can get board approval on any sort of programs offered. Obviously, I don't have the authority to create new programs without theirs. The ones we offer are the ones we previously offer across the board, like the 0% financing, essentially. The goal is to get that in front of the board for their final blessing on a few of the programs, and then those would be worthwhile to advertise to let residents know, because I think that's what I've noticed in my time is we have several programs here that residents always don't know about. And I'd love to market them more, but as we get busy with other duties, so that would be similar like the Rain Barrel program. I don't know if a lot of residents know about the Rain Barrel program.
Right.
We have another one that's offering our 50/50 program, which is great for sidewalks, but we're now backlogged by about 2 or 3 years. But I think once we get that out, that would be appropriate in that sense to assist.
Commissioner Smith.
So I'm saying, just given the, potential health and safety concerns, has this been given like a higher priority to prevent any potential litigation issues?
In terms of meeting the requirements,
You've done that, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, prioritize because it does have health and safety repercussions. This maybe compared to like rain barrels or like other, like other stuff. Has this been like moved up on the priority list?
It's fallen in line. I mean, we've had a lot of grant funding. We move in several directions as, combination servers, backups.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Flooding was a major concern. We're kind of wrapping up a lot of our flooding projects because it's taken, I think that study was done in 2013 and 2014. So, we're trying to wrap up a few of those, and then we're incorporating this a lot into our CIP, where our previous versions was, as we encountered it, we replaced it. Now we're being a little bit more proactive and looking forward future in terms of our capital projects to be inclusive so that we can be holistic in our improvements with our capital plans.
Yeah, because one thing just to note, just even giving like with the EPA and kind of John Kim and community groups, the whole environmental justice movement is kind of also spurring a lot of municipalities to really get ahead of this, to kind of get in front of it and at least have like some type of education or something. And not saying we're not doing that, but it's kind of reasons that they're really prioritizing it right now with the climate that we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're working towards that.
Yeah, okay.
Well, so if Riley is kind of working on this, is that,
I'm gonna try to work with Riley because
okay,
now that we're a little bit more in construction, we have like 2 or 3 projects out. The engineering staff's a little peaked, but having Riley, having knowledge and background, I can pump her some information and then she can update the website and not be relying on engineering staff as much.
okay.
Because similar, like we said, the great thing about being on the public side is we're all willing to share. So, I can reach out to this village, they gave me their program. Other villages, everyone is not really copyrighted, so we can kind of utilize.
Because this is a pretty nice, like informative, like frequently asked questions.
Is that okay?
And it's, it is, but I mean, they do that kind of stuff well
Right.
as a village. As a good maybe model for someone, unless you have to like, I know they're in Cook County and not DuPage, but it's still, as far as anything environmentally, they're typically like, they're like a leader in our state for this kind of stuff.
You're talking about Oak Park?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or, as far as if you want to model after someone, this would be a good village for that. Instead of recreating the wheel, it'll save us money.
No,
and
there's most,
yeah.
like I said, a lot of our
Yeah.
programs, we tailor our existing programs slightly and similar, like Roselle has some similar demographics, those sort of things, so like, we've reached out to Roselle, got their programs. And then, Lombard and Palmer, so. Now that we have Riley, and before she was too loaded, that was, some of the goal was to have her pump her some information and then she can not make it look like an engineer did and make it a little bit more.
And then do we have it in different languages to reflect our village, like Spanish and typically like we have outwritten things like this or no?
Those are things we're working on, because that is a deficiency that we have with our website. Is, the multilingual, so I think we are looking at partnering with the high school on several factors next year, and one of those being they have students as part of their training would be willing, for lack of a better term, high school interns.
Right.
Is we're looking at maybe trying to partner with Willowbrook and several different of our departments, and one of them is that they can have a job and take a lot of our policies, a lot of our procedures, and translate them into Spanish. I think the
And then
surveys
there's
that went
like
out,
a
we did
Google
do
Translator,
both English and Spanish.
Is there a survey of what languages are spoken in Villa Park?
Oh, I can get that for
We can look at the consistency.
we know-
data, the
Yeah,
2020.
because I don't know, I know we have a huge seal of
Like
biliteracy program, Willowbrook,
Middle
the
Eastern.
students, so I don't know if there's other students besides Spanish.
Arabic or whatever?
We do have.
Urdu's, yeah.
What is it?
Urdu.
Urdu?
There's a program that we're starting to use with our e-newsletter called S'mores. We learned about it from District 45.
If you go on the actual GoGov, there's the Google Translate function on the bottom, and it will translate the page into.
That's what I like.
Several
use for
different-
that, yeah.
Yeah, well, pretty much anything, yeah.
I think
Not
the
Sicilian.
majority, based on the census data, is English and Spanish in the community.
Yeah.
And the rest are pretty. There's several others, but
Smaller percentage.
it's very small percentages.
Yeah, definitely focus on the Spanish, yeah.
What are you finding? Urdu, Polish?
Well, if it's okay, I'm gonna keep this item on our agenda because Tom King indicated he wanted to come to the commission, so. Okay, I'm gonna move on to item 6, public comments on non-agenda items, and we still have our public with us, so.
You did not have to sit here, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Smith, any comments?
Does it have to be an item on the agenda?
What's that?
Does it have, it can be any. So as Commissioner Smith has had a question regarding our tree that was planted at the library. Just was curious, was that a tree that needed to be covered with the mesh to protect it from the cicadas?
No, like a lot of communities, but we did not. But it was closer to a 3-inch caliber tree, which is kind of outside that immature level. And like most of the trees that we plant are greater than 2 inches in diameter when we plant them, so they're a little bit more mature.
Okay.
And then what I've noticed driving around is it seems like it's more the mature trees that have a lot of them, because I'm assuming the cicadas were probably in the ground around those trees versus newly planted trees don't seem to have as much. But we're monitoring, we monitor all the trees as best we can, but some of the newer trees we are
The
looking
ones that
at.
were around 200 years ago.
Yeah, well,
I-
17 years ago, yeah.
I noticed one
This is
that
like a
had the
different
netting, but there were plenty of them inside.
That's what I
Yeah,
did
you
notice
gotta
with
do it
a
right,
few of the
yeah.
nettings they
They're
did
like,
in.
People didn't
But-
understand how to do it.
There's also put it
Kinda
down to the
netted it,
root,
but they-
not
they
just the
travel-
top.
They travel
Up the-
up the trunk, and so if it's not tight against the trunk.
Right.
I've noticed some people put saran wrap or foil to try to keep them from getting further up.
Oh, there is a will, there's a way.
But I kind of took the stance of they've been around for a lot of years, and so it's kind of semi-natural versus like the emerald borer or the Japanese beetles that are invasive, where the trees didn't really have a protection against them. But a lot of our trees were at least 2 inches where we planted last year. We didn't plant any in the spring. We're deferring to the fall, and then the one that was part of it was the tree that we wanted was pretty ugly looking when they went to go get it. So we alternated, and it went to I think it was about 3 inches. So And then some of the readings say once you get above 2.5, then the netting is maybe not as needed. But yeah, we, unfortunately due to resources of staff timing and different things, we didn't net any, but we're kind of monitoring the younger trees and the parkways that are ours.
Thank you.
And anything else?
Oh, that'll be all, thank
Okay.
you.
Commissioner Leishman, anything?
Yeah, since the last meeting, I had the privilege of attending the Illinois Environmental Council's Climate Action Lobby Day in Springfield.
Fun.
There was quite a bit of legislation that we were talking to legislators about. Everything from the public transit funding that I am of course passionate about, but there were bills about carbon dioxide pipelines. There were bills about vehicle efficiency standards. There were bills about electrifying homes. It was kind of all over the place. If you're interested in that sort of thing, I would encourage you to check out the IEC's legislative agenda for this year. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Morey.
Thank you. A couple of questions and items. I may have missed it, but Dr. Greer, is there a targeted completion date for the Trash Road Connector? Did I miss that, or is that still in process?
I would love to give you a great answer, but unfortunately that contractor is a little non-committal on a lot of things.
Okay.
We've should have been paved. We ran into that mix has not been laid yet and tested by IDOT, so it kicked in other requirements. IDOT would want us to waive that requirement of a test strip. But currently I don't have a good target, but it should be completed. I think they have until about the end of June before they run out of working days.
And then Chairman Wagner, at the previous meeting, at the beginning of the meeting, we discussed if there's an opportunity for you to get a supply of bike locks, that we might be able to offer them as an incentive for the bike to school day with the North School.
I'm sorry, bike
locks.
Oh, bike locks.
Sometimes you're very resourceful in acquiring items, so we thought of that as an item that maybe we'd be able to use as an incentive to participate in the bike to school day. Participate, we'll get a free bike lock. So if you have a supplier for those, so somebody might be able to provide.
I do not have a supplier for bike locks, and bike locks, the U-locks can be kind of pricey, over $20.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know.
Okay.
Well, it'll be on the agenda, so.
Yeah, and then as usual, I'm collecting styrofoam peanuts and 6 black and dinnerware labeled 6. It has to be clean. I collect it after the end of each meeting we have. So if you have them, bring it. Please bag it if possible. Commissioner Greco mentioned World Environment Day. That's June 6th. It is the biggest international day for the environment, led by the UN. This year's theme is land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. You can get more information on the web. However, desertification is the process by which fertile land becomes desert, typically as a result of drought, deforestation, or inappropriate agriculture. Nearly 1/5 of the world's land is threatened with desertification. Also, it was recently reported that by 2050, studies have indicated that there will be more plastic than fish in the world's ocean. 2050 is within most people's lifespans. And I would say that we should take the lead to help reduce that. Certain things you can do is consider glass over plastic containers when making purchases. Reduce or resist the purchase of single-use container products and the use of plastic straws. If only available in plastic packaging, considering purchasing larger sized items, bigger quantities. Many food co-ops actually will sell items in bulk if you provide your own container. So every little bit helps when they're reducing plastic consumption. And so we hope that you all consider that and pass that along to your friends and neighbors. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Commissioner Draconis?
Only that the statistics, I think, say between 5 and 9% of plastic is recycled.
Yes,
5 and 9%.
it's probably always been that. That was a ruse put into the, provided by the producers of plastic to get people to feel better about using it.
Have you?
Oh,
Sure.
it's under, did you, Ellen?
I'm done.
Oh, okay. You mentioned the food co-ops. Yeah, Prairie Food Co-op looks like they're pretty close to opening. I mean, yeah.
And they will have bulk food.
Right, they're
Bulk.
not in Villa Park, they're in Lombard, but they're practically Villa Park because
Right.
they're right on Westmore there. So, so I'm really excited to see, what they have, and we should all definitely check it out. That's all.
I want to move on to chairman comments. I mentioned this at Right of Silence, but we had the Salt Creek Sanitary District, which we asked for kind of support from the commission. There was a very short window for what they call community funding projects, and we submitted it to Congressman Caston, and we were made that hurdle. We're on his list for community funding projects, so for a $9 million project. So thanks to someone at Fair Graham who kind of helped us with that.
Mark?
Well, he helped our
Oh, yeah.
general manager, but
Yeah.
that's not to say we're gonna get it, but we're made that first hurdle, so we're pretty happy about that.
Great.
And that's really all I have. Mike, anything from you?
No, nothing further.
Okay,
I just have one thing to just follow up with there's an exhibit at the Museum of Science and History, or sorry, Museum of Science and Industry
Yeah.
regarding the plastics. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, yeah,
Not recently.
but it kind of follows up well with what Joe was saying, Commissioner.
okay, and we appreciate our member of the public who sat through our whole meeting, so.
I learned a lot.
So I will,
Service.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Leishman, is there a second?
Second it.
Second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.